Hello and welcome to Across the Pond WNBA. Myself and Michelle back for another week of WNBA drama. There's always drama. We are slightly going to go left field slightly and talk Olympics for a bit, first of all. But um, awesome week across the pond sports network. Across the pond college football was back this week for a special episode and an absolutely amazing interview by Gareth with a former Jets player who went to Boston College as well. So you can check that out. That is there. And we've got some awesome episodes coming up very soon on Across the Pond WSL. They've got the Matildas coming up on there. And it just rolls on with the playoffs for the NBA, the NHL. And yeah, we're all over it. Also, check out very soon our new newsletter that we're going to be producing each week. That's going to be coming out. So check that out when you receive it. And yeah, it's all moving along nicely. Michelle, how is your week been?
It's been a ton of fun, lots of work, but super excited the weekend's here and it's podcast time. So I'm looking forward to another great episode.
Yes, definitely. Now, for us in the UK, the European Championships just started for soccer, so it's kind of like a World Cup, but just we don't let the rest of the world play. It's just Europe, and yeah. So the first game was tonight. Scotland got pumped 5-1. So our tournament's pretty much over. Might as well get the plane home now. But there is two more games, but you never know. We've never qualified out of a group stage yet in the history of tournaments, so probably not going to happen this time round either. But it was the host. It was Germany. They're pretty much the favourites, anyways. But anyway, enough of my melancholy. Uh, Last week after the show, I was on Facebook and posting and all this kind of stuff, and I came across a post by Sami Jordan. I'll give her a shout out. Thank you, Sammy, for this. And she set a challenge to people to name an Olympic team, but you could only pick one player from each WNBA team. It's a 12 squad roster, so 12 WNBA teams. You can only pick one player from each WNBA team. And I thought this was interesting. I thought this is quite cool because you've got the Aces who've got 4 players in there. So, like, you immediately free up 3 spots, but at the same time, you have to choose which of the Aces you're actually gonna keep. Uh, that for some teams, that proved a bit more difficult for me than not. Now, myself and Michelle have not told each other who is on whose team. So I thought we would go through the WNBA and we will see which players we have both selected. So this could be quite fun.
Are we going team
Y
by team? How are we doing?
yeah, we'll go team by team.
All right.
And we'll start off with A's first. So we'll start off with the Aces.
Easy.
And yeah, this one's probably the easiest of them all. Asia Wilson.
Absolutely. Asia Wilson is mine. I have mine written down right here on the list.
Yeah, I mean, Asia Wilson, I mean, we know that the Aces have got 4 players in there. And rightly so. But yeah, if you can only pick one, you're gonna go for the true MVP in Asia Wilson.
MV period. That was an easy
Yeah.
choice.
That was the easiest one. It does get tougher as we go. The Atlanta Dream. Who did you have?
Atlanta Dream. I know who I wanted. I went with Howard.
So did I. I went with Howard as well because I thought that's probably an obvious choice, but yeah, I was gonna go there. Now, this is the one that may get people in trouble. The Indiana Fever. Who'd you get?
All right, now this one was controversial. I was like, I have 13 WNBA teams, so this is my alternate, Caitlin Clark.
Did you have Caitlin? Okay. This may be more controversial for me. I took Aaliyah Boston.
I understand why, because she was actually one of mine that I had to choose between.
Yeah,
But
it
there
was a
were
choice
so
between.
many post players when I looked at all my teams, I had to switch up some of my choices. I need some guards to get the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
That's honestly what it came down to.
So for me, I took Aaliyah because last year she was an all-star, her rookie year. She was an all-star and she was formidable last year. And even this year, I think she's built upon that. Sometimes when you have your second year, sometimes you have a bit of a wall. I don't think she's done that, not yet anyway. And I think she would she'd be a perfect choice.
This is gonna be interesting to see then, as we get to other teams, because it sounds like you're gonna run into some issues with certain positions.
No, 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 no. My positioning is
I
perfect. Oh,
I
always
see.
perfect. Uh, the New York Liberty are up next.
Ionescu.
Ooh, again, this was a toss up between Iniescu and Brianna Stewart,
Mhm.
and I took Stewart.
That's what but it honestly, once again, it came down to posts. I need the young legs, I need shooters to space the floor for these post players, and I was like, I gotta pick the top post players, and when I looked across the league, especially if you can only pick one person from each team, it
Yeah,
made it harder. So
yeah.
I had to actually leave, Stewie out of this one.
That was the this is the challenge, is trying to balance a team knowing you can only have one person from each team.
Yes.
So all 12 teams will be represented here. Right, so we've got the Lynx next,
Oh,
and this one actually I didn't find difficult at all.
either.
I I went straight for Collier.
Collier. I was like,
Yeah,
Collier.
yeah, that
100% have an amazing season.
yes, I think she is. I actually think the Lynx overall are having a pretty good season this year so far. They signed a good rookie as well out of Utah, so and Pilly, so yeah, I think they're doing pretty well. Now, next, again, this could be a
It's 3 post players.
ooh, yeah, this could be tough. We've got the
I mean,
Mercury.
the Mercury was not hard at all.
No?
Not at all. All of my post players so far are babies. I need that vet. Griner
Oh,
all day.
oh.
Easy. Easy. I had no second thought.
Okay, so obviously, because I taken post players already, I have went guard,
I
and
figured.
I've
D
went Diana Taurasi.
DT. I
I like
go,
I
I love her, but I was like, older, I gotta worry about injuries. There are a couple of different things, and I was like, I can probably get some younger legs around there. That's why I chose Ionescu. So that's part of the reason is I was like, I need that veteran and those stories that Griner has that she's gonna pour into those young players
yeah,
and make sure they're ready. And she could be that vet for me. So, but still has that youth, you know what I mean? And hungry as
yeah.
hell with and her storyline. She
Oh,
brings
yeah,
narrative, everything to the Olympics. So does DT, don't get me wrong, but I can only pick one.
and DT for her record 1 millionth Olympics, for for her, like, just turning up every 4 years. Now, this next team was a little tougher, probably because 'cause they're having not the best of years so far, and that's the Washington Mystics.
Oh. Okay, so I cheated.
You can't how can you cheat? You can't take Belladon.
It's me. I can find a way to cheat. Yo, I took Celadon because she's on the injured list, which means Imma replace her last minute with somebody else from another team that's a guard.
Oh my god, I can't believe okay, so right, I'll give you the yeah, she's on the injured list, and so technically is still on the team.
Yes, and right before it starts, they're gonna have an alternate for her, and Imma pull
Jesus.
somebody else.
Oh, man. Okay, so I went with someone who's actually playing this year. I went with, Shakira Austin.
Mm, that's a good option.
I've seen a couple of Mystics games and so far this season, and actually, like, she doesn't look out of place. She's working her tail off and fighting, and as well as that, like, you can kinda see her on the bench, like, trying to kind of push things along and talk to people, and same with on the floor. She's really trying to kinda push things, so I went with, Shakira Austin. But
Okay,
the next one, I think there's this again could be controversial. It's gonna be controversial with my pick. I know it is. The
okay.
Chicago Sky.
So mine, I wanted controversy in this pick.
So did I.
So I was like, if Elena Deladon doesn't play and I have to play Caitlin Clark, I need someone to protect her, so I'm bringing in Kennedy Carter.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna make the people that got into it protect each other, because that's what good coaches do.
That I like where your head went with that. That I
And
do like that.
it brings
Uh,
those fan bases here instead
mhm,
of the polarizing conversations.
yeah. So I did take a rookie on this occasion, one that has a ring, and I took Angel Reese from the Sky. I'm looking at her rebounding this year, and she is blown out of the water. She is up and down the floor, offensive boards, defensive boards. She just doesn't care.
I couldn't do it only because if I made Caitlin Clark an alternate, Reese would be an alternate for the exact same reason. It's the international inexperience. It's a different
Yeah,
game.
it is a different. Yeah, yeah. FIBA is
It's a
yeah. We can get into that, but like FIBA is a different game. I know from
yeah, that
not
was
playing
a controversial pick.
playing for with FIBA kind of rules and FIBA referees. I can speak to that. But Angel Reese, I think the reason I picked her and I didn't pick Caitlin Clark
Mm.
is simply because Alea Boston and Angel Reese, I think would be a really good partnership as well.
But
It's,
they're
and
not
because you could have one or the other.
when are they gonna play together? Over Griner and
I
Howard.
I
And the
don't have
rest of
Griner.
the people on my list.
I don't have Griner. I'm good.
So who's your
Um,
post player?
my see, I'm
I did my
I,
starters too.
I was gonna be a little bit cheeky and start Asia and Brianna
Okay, we beating y'all. I ain't even worried.
up top.
Oh,
All right.
my Olympic team is playing your Olympic team. We gonna skunk y'all.
Oh, well, we'll see. Um,
They
the
can't do
LA
nothing with
Sparks.
Griner. They can't do nothing with Griner. And
The
Asia.
and Asia, yeah. The LA Sparks are up next. Who did you have for them?
All right. The Sparks I went with, and this is kind of a cheat code too, because technically
God.
it's another ace, Derek Hamby.
I see. I went with Hamby as well. So no, no, I
She's
was
had 6 man, she's played on those teams before. I think she's that piece that she's not gonna try to be the superstar. She's
no,
that piece you need to make everybody else on the team better.
yeah, no, no. I completely agree. I'm with you on Hamby, and I think as well. You look through that Sparks team, and it is pretty young as a whole. Some people on the kind of Facebook thing kind of argued for Cameron Brink as well, and I think that
Eventually.
I think in 4 years, like I would put Angel Reese in this year. I would put Caitlin Clark in this year particularly, but I think Cameron's doing the 3v3, and I think her game suits the 3v3
Mhm.
better. So that was more of a fit thing.
It's gonna be
Up
really interesting because you only have Asia's the only vet you got.
mm,
Collier's
no,
young.
I've got Diana. I've got Diana Taurasi. She's a vet. Up
Is
next is the Seattle Storm.
easy,
Uh,
Julian.
see, I thought this would be difficult, the Storm, because I was
No,
going with Diggins Smith.
I get it. I
But
get it.
I didn't take Diggins Smith. I did take Joe Lloyd. But I I did I did have Diggins Smith in my head, like, when I looked through the roster, I was like, "Oh, you could really make an argument for both."
You could. You could. My only to be completely honest, my only thing is Jewel Lloyd's been on that court. She's been healthy. She's proven herself. She's a veteran. Whereas Skylar, don't get me wrong, highest contract, highest paid player. So, but as a coach, I want to see her play a little more.
Yeah.
I want to see. Um, honestly, that was the only reason.
Yeah. Didn't play all year last year, so
Yeah.
it's tough. It is tough. Right. The Connecticut Sun.
Okay. So this is my three, the starter at the three guard. Okay, Dewana Bonner. Because I can have Asia Wilson at the 4, guard the 3, and put Dewana on the 4 and the 5. I'm just saying, just talking about the paint. That's
I like I like the reasoning. Like, I don't mess around with the reasoning.
and Bonner can bring it up the floor.
I went maybe for the easier option. I went with Alyssa Thomas.
I thought about it. I did think about it. I
And
just
I thought similar to you with Caitlin, um, and Carter, I kinda thought the same with Angel Reese and Alyssa Thomas.
that's
That was
that's a great. At least you thought to put the story and the narrative together too. I like
that's
it.
where I was
I think Alyssa's a amazing player.
Mhm.
It's just when I look across the board at the other post players, I had to look at who could stretch the floor, and Asia and Bonner can do that, and they can kinda you can switch them off on defensively. I really thought this through.
You have, no, you definitely have. Now this next one, was easy for me.
Okay,
The wings.
who was it?
I took out Ricky.
Me too.
This one was kind of a yeah, that this just makes sense. I mean, obviously, if Satu didn't play for Germany and was playing just now, wasn't injured, then you'd probably go down that route.
Yep.
There'd be a good argument, but she's German or she plays for
Mhm.
Germany and she is also injured. So uh, that that was my team. Do you want to tell me your starters and we'll see
Yeah.
how we can compare?
Starting with Enrique, Jewel Lloyd, Dewana Bonner, Asia Wilson, and Brittany Griner. I dare you. I dare you to beat that lineup.
So that I mean that's a good lineup. I was gonna start Asia Wilson,
Mhm.
Alea Boston,
Griner's gonna whoop our butt. Okay.
Brianna Brianna Stewart,
Good luck getting your shot off against Bonner. Okay.
and and then I was and then I was gonna go Jewel and Enrique.
Dang, that okay. So who wins if we put both
Like,
teams on the floor?
I don't know, maybe we need to get like what's that?
That would be
NBA 2K.
a heck of a game though. I think
Huh?
it'd be a heck of a game because Stewie, oof, I think I'm gonna have them run Stewie and make her come into the paint against 3 post players every chance, every single possession. She's not getting any shot. You ain't getting no jump shots, no threes. We're gonna get right up on you and push you into all 3 monsters the entire game for 40 minutes and beat you up.
I don't know. I like I look at my now. Obviously, we've got both got Asia on, but I don't know. Like I don't think Alea Boston's an easy push around.
No, I don't think she's a push around. I think that when we look at the inches on the actual height of each of these
Mm,
post players, she has to get her shot off against them, and she is not. Asia's an athletic post. I would
yeah.
say Boston's that cornbread post, so she's not gonna outjump them either.
No.
Brittany's not.
No.
She's not leaving her feet. She's just gonna be, "Doop, get out of here, bye bye, goodbye, doop, nice try." That's
Who would be
the
who
only
who
reason. I
Who's
do.
your first best person off the bench?
Ooh, Kennedy Carter.
I get that, I get
Kennedy
that.
I want her to come in, I want her to come in and bring that physicality to the other team. I know she's gonna come in with tons of energy. She's gonna put the ball up if she's open, and she brings us that 3rd guard if we wanna go 3 guards, 2 posts to bring the ball up the floor as well. But I think she changes the game. And if I got Caitlin out there and I'm bringing them in, they're coming in at the same time. I'm gonna make them have each other's back.
Yeah, I get that. I would go Alyssa Thomas. That would be my
Fair.
my first person off the bench. I
Energy.
think just energy and just sheer like if you're having a flat couple of minutes where nothing's really working, you
Yeah.
can put someone like Alyssa Thomas in, who is gonna grab everyone and just say, "Look, let's get this moving along now. Like we need to put some points on the board." So yes, I went for Thomas. I think in all fairness, like they're both good teams. I mean, some of the teams that people put out, I mean, a lot of them were quite similar. I think
Mm,
the people that got the most was Arike, was Asia.
mm.
Boston actually did get picked quite a lot of times.
I can see that
And
with a younger fan base.
I was quite impressed. Derek and Hamby got a lot of kind of love, as did Joe Lloyd and Alyssa Thomas. Kayla Copper also.
Yes, she was on
I,
mine. She was one of my she's good. She's good.
she's one of your alternates.
Yeah.
Now, someone, I'm not going to call out who it was, but someone did take Satu. Uh, Not going to call it out, but someone did take Satu.
I'm not
Anyway,
I'm not mad at him. I would ask this. With this, I think this is a great exercise for people to do. It helps them to learn the game of basketball, but it also reveals something. I noticed all the people you named are younger.
well, Diana, and I wouldn't say Asia's
So
young.
but Asia's also the MVP. Doesn't But a Diana Taurasi, a Sue Bird, some of these veterans who and I think this leads to the a conversation we'll have later around Caitlin not making the team, um, is where it also reveals that it's a lot of new fans
Mhm.
who honestly, they don't know these players.
No, I would agree. Like, I think for a lot of people, and I recently joined an Indiana Fever group on Facebook, and the person who runs that group actually put out a post saying, because there's so much crap being said, um, I'm kind of gonna be approving comments from now on. Like
Mm,
before, it was just open season; you could put on there whatever you want. But like the fact that yes, their fan group has grown massively. I think it tripled or something. And then the issue was that like people were just like spamming it with kind of obviously Caitlin Clark rhetoric,
mm,
which is something we're going to get onto a little bit later on. Something that she's had to, or has felt that she's had to speak out about as well. But this exercise, thank you so much for Sammy Jordan
yeah,
for putting this out there, because this was actually a very
it's
fun exercise.
it's good.
I've got a question for you. How long did it take you to come up with your team when you were actually properly settled with it?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Did you not agonize over anyone
No, I did. I did
for
agonize,
10 minutes?
but it was like a 60-second
Mm.
and then 10 minutes, and then I was like, "Who would be your starters? Do you have enough guards, to offset if you wanna start and play big and you know that that's what you wanna do? And then if you wanna go small, do you have the people who are young and have the legs?"
Yeah, that's always the question. But yes, so thank you very much, Sammy Jordan, who's from Missouri. We appreciate you coming up with that little exercise and getting to getting to run through it. Let's keep on with the Olympic theme right now. So all the talk, and it's still all the talk. Like it's still going on. People upset that Caitlin Clark has not been selected for Team USA, even though reasons have been given. But yeah, people still are going on. I think she's certainly gonna be in the mix. Like, if a player, and I think you said it last week, like, if someone drops out, then for sure, like, Caitlin Clark is gonna be top of that list of kind of alternates, if you like, that would go in. Like, and I suppose from a marketing standpoint, like, I've heard this argument as well. I don't know if you've seen this. There's a marketing kind of thing where a lot of people are saying Team USA have scored an own goal because they're not taking Caitlin, who has helped the WNBA kind of blow up. But does Team USA really need to make that team blow up, social media wise or in the media? Because like I mean, I remember the last Olympics, like they were pretty popular.
Um, you know that saying, "Keep your mouth closed, and people will never know how dumb you are."
Yeah,
Some people need to think about that when they're posting on social media.
yeah, there's that too.
First off, the women's Olympic team is not the WNBA, and I think people are kind of first off, they're not the same.
No,
And the Olympic team does not need the WNBA or Caitlyn in the sense of the popularity that it has brought. Yes, she has brought new fans, but the game's been steadily growing for years, and it has already been going at a meteoric pace. So some people are like, "Oh no, she's the reason." She's not. You're new. Stop. You're coming in with these biases, and you did not take the time to ask the right questions to inform yourself. So stop talking without asking the right questions. Like they're not even trying, they're just spewing rhetoric. And I think the Olympic team is one where if when I look at these players and I look at my options and opportunity, the only reason Caitlin Clark will be on that team is we usually always have a collegiate athlete. We usually have someone that you're teaching and you're showing and you're bringing along. The problem is because her fans are so outspoken, it has almost hurt her. And I genuinely feel bad for her for that reason. Because I think if they weren't so outspoken and it wasn't the racial dialogues and it's so polarizing, she would be on that team. And that's unfortunate because I don't think fans should, kind of be the reason you're not on a team. At the same time, when I look at all 12 spots, she's not better than not one of them. And I
and that,
don't care what you did in college. No one cares what I did in college. When you get to the pros, it's a different game. And she has not outplayed people. Her team is at the bottom. I'm sorry. And she has things that she's struggling with. So when she got on that Olympic team, those same fans were going to expect her to get the call because of her name, not because of her game. And I go, that is the problem. It's the root of the problem. This is not Iowa. That conference is very different than the WNBA and internationally, because I we told you the international game is where it's at. You have to be fundamentally sound, and she does not have that experience yet. So when they said it was a lack of experience, that is true. When we look pound for pound at all these players that were named before her, they are better. And if you look up the stats, you see it. That's why I
yeah,
find it interesting, um, when you're just blindly spouting off things, and I get it because I tell you guys all the time, I'm being biased before I spout off some nonsense. But I
yeah.
preface it. I need the rest of the fans to do the same.
Hey, you preface it. It makes total sense. Uh, so Jim Tooley, who's the CEO of USA Basketball,
Mm,
he said, "We're veterans, newcomers, and
yeah,
those in the middle. Good perspective and continuity is such an important thing when you want to have a successful Olympic run." And I totally get that. I remember back to the '92 Olympics when you had the Dream Team
uh-oh,
and you had Jordan, Barkley, Ewing, like you had
it's
everyone,
crazy. It's crazy.
Bird, Magic, and remember, this is '92 before social media and all the rest of it. They had people sleeping outside their hotel
Mm,
24/7, trying to just get a glimpse of them. Could you imagine now, I imagine Team USA have this anyway, but
Mhm.
could you imagine this with plus Caitlin Clark? Like, that's just a logistical nightmare for Team USA as well. Like, I would like because 'cause you're gonna have to pay extra money for security because the Olympics want to pay for that, uh, because you're staying off site. Because usually the basketball teams stay
Mhm.
off site. So, yeah, it would be an absolute nightmare. Now, you mentioned FIBA and playing international.
Mhm.
Now, I'm gonna preface this with I never played at a high level. However, I played in leagues where it was FIBA rules, FIBA
Yes.
style referees, some of whom can be exceptionally harsh.
Yes.
And when I played a physical game. And the reason I played a physical game is because, well, one, I was short, and two, was because I could get away with it. Like, some of the fouls that Caitlin has complained about or moaned about, uh,
Normal
over
fun.
here, that ain't a foul.
That
That is not a foul. Some of the obviously not the Carter one, but, like, some of the flagrant fouls,
yeah.
that'd be a common foul over here. Like, I think there's this misconception that you can jump from college straight to the pros and just be amazing, or jump from straight to the pros to international. You've played internationally. You've played with FIBA rules and referees.
Mm.
That that is it's fun and it's a new challenge, but at the same time, like it is also hard on the body. And when you're coming off a full college year, jumping into the draft, jumping straight into training camp, jumping into the start of a season. I'm sorry, like, I think for her own health,
Yeah.
she should be at home, and I would say the same for Angel Reese, who had a good run in the playoffs.
Mm.
Like, I would say stay at home and rest. Take that time. There's an Olympics in 4 years, and, I mean, Jim truly says that, like, there's an Olympics in 4 years, like, it's not that she's not gonna make that team,
Mhm.
a as long as she can perform over the next 4 years.
Imma be honest, because 'cause I'm a player and we're hungry. And I had a chance to make an Olympic team and broke my foot 3 weeks before we finished. You may not have 4 years. You may not get another chance. So I do understand why they want to be on that team. I do understand why Caitlin feels snubbed because to be honest, she should have a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah,
Absolutely should have it. But I want that energy to be directed at the right source. And she
yeah,
can't control it, so it's like the best thing to do is allow it to fuel her. I even though she's an alternate, if something does happen, she's gonna get very few minutes on that floor because I'll put it to you this way. Diana Taurasi and I graduated together. I am 44 years old. Diana Taurasi could smoke her right now.
she's smoking most people every night.
So when we say experience, some things come with time. Some things come from Diana has gotten stronger and better because of playing overseas and playing on multiple. She's going to be one of the most winning Olympic players once they win this year. I'm gonna go ahead and manifest that for my girl. But I think she could run circles around Caitlin because one of the biggest things we've talked about is Caitlin needs to have that personal trainer that helps her build her body. She needs to get in the weight room because, like you said, some of these fouls that she's complaining about, this is not college, baby. That's not a foul. Some are
Oh,
legitimately
yeah, some are.
ridiculous. Some are ridiculous. So she has a point on some of them, and on some of them, she has to get tougher here. As Pat Summit would say, 90% of the game is played here. And if people know they can hit you and take you out of the game, no, you cannot be on the Olympic team.
Yeah. The Olympic team is for me, like, even when you talk about collegiate players, obviously that '92 team had Christian Laettner, the man everyone hated, and, like, he came with a bit of a stigma to the Olympic team because he played for Duke more than anything else, but I was always kinda like I was young, obviously, at that time, as were you in '92, and I was always kinda like, as a kid, I actually thought it was really cool that, like, a collegiate player got to play in the Olympics, and they did the same with Anthony Davis a while back as well.
Mhm.
So, like, it is cool that they do that, but I do think that you need to take the if you're gonna take collegiate player, you need to take the right one,
True.
and one that's gonna fit in a system. So, even though, she is the alternate, I you have to make sure, because I think there's a couple of alternates, so you have to make sure whichever alternate you take, if you have to take one, it's the right one as well.
Very true, and I think people also forget this. When you look at the NBA versus the WNBA, it's a huge difference. The NBA is a very global game. When you look at these teammates and these rosters, they have a lot of players that can't play in the Olympics simply because they have a passport and a citizenship somewhere else. So that opens up spots for more players. Whereas on the WNBA side, most of these players are from the US, which makes the competition to make these teams a little harder. So that's another reason why when I'm saying, is she one of those best 12? Right now, no, because the competition on her side is a lot harder too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, you look at even the Dallas Mavericks, you got Doncic, who's one of the best players in the league right now.
Yeah.
He's Serbian, or Slovenian, sorry. So, like, he's not gonna be playing for Team USA. Dirk Nowitzki, another
Yeah.
famous Maverick. I don't know why I'm naming Mavericks for some reason, but he was amazing for Germany, but they never really did anything because as soon as you came up against the US, Tony Parker, Rudy Gobert, like,
Yep.
these players are top players. I mean, Tony Parker won a few championships in San Antonio. He goes off to play for Paris,
Manu
and
Ginobili. It's that whole if you just look at that whole team.
well, yeah, that was a pretty formidable team as well. And then Tim Duncan obviously, famously makes that team, the US team. But you
Yes.
think of it, how many US players made it from that team? 1, Tim Duncan, because he's the only one that was eligible
That was
because
eligible.
they're so, yeah. And then you look at the WNBA. But here's a question for you actually that's just popped in my brain. So obviously you just mentioned, the NBA has a lot of international players,
Yes.
and it adds to it almost every year.
Mhm.
Will we get to a place where the WNBA, which is already tight on spots that we've mentioned, but could we, I mean, we already have some, not very many, but we all have some. Could we suddenly see an influx of foreign players come into the WNBA?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I think the time is coming. I think, 1, as the salaries get better, they're
Mm,
coming. There was no reason to come before. They could just stay home, relax, and enjoy, and they were taken care of with different sponsorships depending on because 'cause they're on the top teams in
yeah.
their countries, and then they're also on their Olympic team, so they have things in place for many of them so that they're good year round. Um, but I think as salaries increase, popularity increases, you're going to see some of those players come across the pond, reverse direction, um, to the WNBA. And as we see that, then it's gonna become extremely competitive. It's gonna be even harder for players and teams to kinda be without the expansion. You gotta continue
Yeah.
to expand.
Because I remember Emma Messiman, put out a
Woo!
post last year. Now she plays for Belgium,
Yes.
and she put out a post last year that
She's a beast.
basically said, I don't have time to play in the WNBA because I wanna play for Belgium."
Yeah.
And that, I think, partly, and now I don't know because I don't know her, but I would imagine that partly that's about patriotism for Belgium, but also, if I go over there, I'm probably not gonna make that much money as I could probably make playing for Belgium and sponsorships and all these kind of things added on.
Well, they'll pay you. I mean, they were paying Americans who didn't play on the Olympic team to not play in the WNBA. They were like, "You
Yeah,
take the summer off and rest. We pay you more money." So imagine what they're doing for some of their elite domestic athletes.
yeah, I can imagine. But Caitlin Clark, we unfortunately have to talk about her some more. I feel like this is becoming the Caitlin Clark show.
Hey, let's do it.
But, she does
Sure.
make headlines.
Yeah.
This time around, however, there's been a lot of you mentioned it earlier, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of people kind of just spouting crap really. And she's come out and said it's disappointing. I think everyone in the world deserves the same amount of respect. The women around the league deserve the same amount of respect. People should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing and it's unacceptable. And this was really directed at people online that were basically taking unnecessary pot shots at players on other teams,
Mhm.
her teammates, her coach, and everyone else in between. And I have to say, I think this is the first time I've ever seen an athlete have to come out and kind of make that kind of statement.
The fact that she had to make it in the first place was one of the things where I go, she's growing up in front of our eyes. She doesn't get to do it privately. And that's one of the reasons I really do feel for her because she's having it's like a LeBron like moment when he first came out and had to deal with a lot of things in the limelight. She's in a very similar space. Should she be able to just show up and play basketball at 22 years old? She's still a young woman. And she's having to defend and be the face and have to actually leverage her voice to talk about things that maybe she wasn't ready to talk about and that she hasn't had to deal with. And I've said this every single time. Her PR team, the people around her, they're going to be extremely important because when you took that money and you took that status as the next GOAT, the next great player with a 28, $30 million contract on your shoe deal, guess what? You have a platform and you don't get to just use that platform to get playing time and to get on the Team USA and to talk about the flights, the charter flights. It isn't you don't get to pick and choose. And I don't think she was responding to the fans. She was responding to the Dejanay Carrington.
Uh,
And I think I'm gonna read her post because her post held so much weight and the way she articulated said so much. It really it like brought tears to my eyes because she just wrote, she said, "Dog, how one cannot be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, and the intersectionalities of them all is nuts. We all see the shit. We all have a platform and we all have a voice and it holds weight. Silence is a luxury." That last sentence, silence is a luxury, but you are okay with the credit for the charter planes and she's speaking for the league and she's the face of the league. Well, you accepted all of that. And if you want to accept, it's kind of like Pat would always say, there's good and bad. Make sure you're ready for both. And that's why the people around her matter so much because there has been a lot of comments around players. Oh, what everyone else is gay in the league, or oh, they all look like men, or oh, they're all this and all. And it's been almost like a monolith of Caitlin's here, and the rest of you peons are down here. The league wasn't watched until Caitlin came. These are all they're not true. And so it's kind of like, I love what Caitlin said. These are players that you guys are talking about that I looked up to. These are people that are my heroes. I wanted to play with them. And she came in now with the swag that I loved because I go, she came in talking shit, like coming at him. Like she had the respect, but at the same time, she wasn't backing down. But this is the off the court side of things that she really needs someone in her pocket that can help her with these things because she's going to have to choose her words carefully. She's going to have to leverage her platform the right way. And it can't always be the easy, low hanging fruit. Sometimes there are going to be some tough things that are going to happen politically across our nation, but also just defending those who also that you respect and admire. Is it fair? No, it's not. Caitlin, this is unfair for a 22-year-old to have to deal with these types of situations and how her name is being leveraged and used. It's unfortunate, And like I said, it speaks to the ignorance of a lot of people who don't understand that at 22, would you want all of these millions of people doing this to your child? The answer would be no. But some of those same people who have sons and daughters are on here anonymously having a lot of these misogynistic comments. And we've talked about this on the platform before. Guys are always coming up talking about, "A girl can't beat me." And we laugh and we josh about it. And sometimes it's fun, and sometimes they're racial slurs and things that hurt and cut deep. And I think Caitlin has to figure that piece out, and she's gonna have to get some people around her to kinda help her navigate that, because coming up in Iowa, like she said in one of her articles, she hasn't seen or been around or been exposed to a lot of this, and just because you haven't been exposed to it doesn't mean you get the entitlement piece without having to speak on the things that are affected by your name.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think what we've seen is online is just that anonymous part. It's so easy to just throw out a comment anonymously and have no recourse, like no nothing happens. And I think social media companies are shocking for this. Is they use their guidelines or stuff, and as long as you don't kind of deal with that, then you're fine. I mean, I once I didn't post it. Did I post it? I might have posted it. I think I did post it. But I once posted that a particular president would be pretty good if he got publicly feathered and tarred, and I was banned. I was banned from that platform because of that. And now being fired, I mean, take a joke, man. Um, but but then w like us here in the UK, we're also in a political storm with elections and all this kind of stuff. This is the kind of time where all of a sudden your name gets mentioned in a
Yeah.
political news cycle. And for someone like Caitlin Clark, that maybe going to Paris would be a good thing because you get right out of Dodge.
I agree. The It sucks because she's right. This is shoot around. I'm here to shoot the basketball and just play. That's all I wanna focus on and talk about. And it's like, but you can't say that when it's the tough conversations, because if it was about chartered planes and all the other stuff, you're eager to talk. And that's why I said, part of it is gonna be that PR
Mhm.
training, which she will get.
Yeah,
Don't I think she's going to learn and grow so much from this, and I think as long as she leans on those players that she admired that are before her, that are older, they're going to lead her in the right direction and help her. That's why I said being around a Diana Taurasi on this Olympic team, on around a Brittany Griner, with all that Brittany's faced in just the last 2 years, it's going to allow Caitlin to really grow years mentally. And I think, honestly, that's where her biggest growth is gonna come.
yeah, for
She's gonna be
sure.
okay, but I want people. She's 22, y'all. Like, come
That's
on,
the thing. And
come on.
I will never take away that she is an exceptionally talented player. She is probably gonna end up as the GOAT at some point,
Yeah,
but she's 22 right now. Like, let's give her some space to actually grow as a player and as a person.
abs
Um, Now we'll move slightly away. Now, as
okay.
everyone knows, we have Jasmine who goes to the Aces games for us. She's got media credentials, and she goes and watches these games and reports on us for us even on across the pond Aces. We've got a bit of an Aces story. So Chelsea Gray was obviously named to that Olympic team while injured. That upset obviously a demographic of the fan base, but
Why?
it
There's
has been
no point in God.
it's been hinted by Becky Hammon that Chelsea is comeback is
Mm,
just around the corner, even hinting that this weekend
yes.
against the New York Liberty, Chelsea Gray could be back. Now,
Hey,
with the results that we've had this week, how important is it to have someone like, I mean, we've seen Kate Martin by the way, start her first WNBA game, which is phenomenal. I
Yes.
love that. But how important is it to have Chelsea Gray back in the team?
Listen, listen. When you're in trouble, you call on God. When the Aces right now with that record, they need God. I'm just telling y'all, Trace Chelsea Gray is the point guard. They need her. She's gonna make Kate Martin's job easier. She makes everyone around her easier. She knows how to find her players and her teammates. I love that they didn't rush her back.
Yeah,
I do not understand how anyone could question that move because she isn't a young player. She's a veteran. You have young players to back her up. You also have alternates. She has already proven that when it comes to that particular spot on the floor, she knows how to get it done.
for
So I
sure.
don't know how you can question that. I think the Aces need her on the floor. I think the Olympic team absolutely needs her. She's played international ball. I played against her overseas. She gets it. She understands it. And just her being there, I think she's still gonna help those younger players come along as well and teach them how to see the floor, how to think, and what that European player is thinking because 'cause they're very fundamentally sound. Um, I am glad that prayers have been answered and the point God is back, okay?
Yeah, for sure. I am definitely looking forward to that. Now, if you do check out Across the Pond Aces on Instagram, Jasmine actually put a video together from the I think from the last home game where basically she's put the video on the bench, and every time the video is on the bench, Chelsea Gray is standing, talking
Mhm.
to players, arm round the players, and really going at it. So I think it's not just what she brings on the floor. I think it's
Mhm.
also off the floor as well in terms of that getting the team together as a leader.
She's a coach, and Becky's referred to her as the second
Yeah,
coach.
the second coach. Very true. Moving slightly along and slightly further west, the LA Sparks have basically given a contract extension through
Ooh.
2025 to Derica Hamby. I think this is very well deserved. I think Derica has been amazing for them since she joined them. I think she's done really well. And I think if you look at what they're trying to build in LA
Mhm.
with Cameron Brink and that kind of young team that they have, I think this is a smart move.
Absolutely. She's been nothing but a class act ever since we've seen her. From her 6 man with the Aces, not to mention now, she's bringing that mental fortitude and philosophy to the Sparks, which I think is gonna be instrumental to them speeding up that development. She can talk to Cameron Brink. Now, don't get me wrong, because I don't think Cameron Brink needs it, but it's always good to have that teammate that can
Yeah.
kinda bring you along that's your same age. Because I think Cameron has her mom and other people around her who know. But just having that peer is also a good thing who can say, recently, this is what it takes to win. This is what the league looks like. I think LA is rebuilding and they're doing it the right way. They're finding the right pieces. And I feel like Hamby has earned because she's had to take a step or two back to get to this spot. So honestly, my heart kind of just pours out for her because I'm super happy. I was glad to see the extension through 2025. Well deserved. Now it's time to put in that work and to see if LA can get the pieces around her and Brink to build that team so that they could actually get back to that winning dynasty that they have.
Yeah, for sure. Right now they sit 4-8. They're ninth in
Mm,
the W. If you look at the standings right now, the Sun, although they got beaten by the Liberty, still top.
yeah.
Like, still absolutely killing it. They even though they got beat off the Liberty, they then went on to win their next 2 games. The Liberty right now are on a 7-game win streak. So they're on a bit of a streak themselves. Out west, our Aces are kind of 3rd. They
Mhm.
picked up a win the other night, but it's been tough. I think it has been tough,
Yeah.
and there's been some criticism labeled at the team, but at the same time, I think what
Mhm.
people need to remember is, like, we've added new pieces, which is something that we've not done before. We've
Yeah.
added a rookie, which
Balls.
is something that we've not done before. I seen this one of these stupid comments online, and it said, couldn't Becky have done more in the draft to get, like, better players?
Oh
And I
my
was
god.
like, "This is the first rookie in freaking, like, 4 or 5 years that the Aces have kept a rookie in. Never mind,
Oh my
like, and when you win a championship, you don't get first pick in the draft either.
part. That's what I mean.
Like come on.
What'd your
The
mom
fact
say? Zip it.
zip it. Mercury doing quite well, 6 and 7. I think they're kinda moving along. But the
Mhm.
Lynx, by the way, 9 and 3.
Ooh.
What a turnaround from the last couple of years. They look real good. Napheesa Collier obviously is a big part of that, which is important. Now, every season we do kind of player spotlights on players, and this week I thought we spoke about Napheesa last week, and since they are doing very well, I thought Napheesa Collier is the player that we're going to speak about this week. Napheesa Collier is an absolutely outstanding player, a
Mhm.
UConn alum
Her only
as well.
mistake. Her only mistake.
Only mistake. Drafted in 2019, 6th overall pick to the Minnesota Lynx, which is where she has stayed. She
Yeah,
has been out to Europe. She's actually still signed currently to Fenerbahce
gotcha.
out in Turkey, but she did play for Montpellier. That's
Mhm.
like the accent there. Uh, she's a three-time All-Star, two-time All-Defensive Second Team. She
Mhm.
won Rookie of the Year as well, which not easy. And she did win an NCAA championship in 2016. For me, though, like I think her biggest thing on the floor, she is so calm.
Oh,
She
yeah.
doesn't. She doesn't like go like a million miles an hour. Like if something goes bad or wrong, or things aren't quite going your way, she's very calm. And I think in this day and age, and I can see why she's been picked for the Olympic team, but I think this in this day and age that that's a rare commodity.
Especially at her age. I think the way she keeps a calm head, I mean, just, this past week, there was an altercation, her and Agumake,
Yeah,
Nneka, and Nneka reached over and fouled, and I like that she was just like, and it was kinda like they were trying to make it an altercation, and she was like, "There's no, I'm not getting into this. You're not taking me out of my game." Um, but for me, her stat line, this she is 20, basically 21 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, a double-double, almost 4 assists a game for a post player, and 2 steals. I go, if we need that college player, to me, she gets that spot. She has proven that she has translated to the pro game and that she understands and she gets it. And although she's pretty much at that veteran spot now, I think she is probably one of the, I think she has like a smooth swag
yeah.
about her.
It's
S-
it's
You know?
it's sometimes like see when she's off the floor and like doing some kind of media or something, you sometimes forget that she's a basketball player.
Yes.
Because she's just so unassuming. Like, it's just, "I'm just here, I'm just chilling out, talking about whatever," and the way that she kind of goes about things. And then you kinda look her up and you start seeing, "Oh, she won EuroLeague. Oh, she won the Super Champion in Europe, and, she won a McDonald's All-American," and all the rest of it. And then, of course, she does have an Olympic gold medal from Tokyo. And you're kinda like 'cause when she got picked to the Olympic team, I was like, "Oh, that's nice." I'm really happy for her. But again, because she's so unassuming and she doesn't, like, go out there for column inches or whatever, I almost forgot that she was on the Olympic team in Tokyo.
True. I had to think about it when I was going through and picking people. And I was just like, where she was then to where she is now, whew, she's got work ethic. She's always had that. And I think not only does she have work ethic, she's under Cheryl Reeves, who's known for player development and
Yeah,
bringing that out of people. And I think the way she's building this team, I can see the links in the sun.
yeah.
At the end of all of
Tough.
this, don't get me wrong now, point guard's coming back, and she's gonna slap 'em both, but these
What?
2 teams, I think the Lynx are what the Connecticut Sun typically are. They are under that radar. It's just right now, they're at the top of that bracket in the West, and like you said, with the Sun, they've always been there, but they're kinda putting they're stepping on necks right out of the gate this year,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you, they have a different swag too.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, for
think they
sure.
have that whole, "Th this isn't the year of will we get it done, watch us get it done."
Yeah. I think you're right. On Napheesa Collier, last question on this, is working under Sylvia Fowles, who was there
Mm,
when Napheesa arrived,
yeah.
how much? Because she was quite energetic and quite expressive, but as a player coming in, because you came into a team in Houston that was full of full of, like, personalities, coming into a team that's got a big personality in it and being able to learn under that, but still be yourself, so you're not like a carbon copy. How important has that been, do you think, for Nafisa?
I don't think that's Sylvia Fowles, though. I played with Sylvia. Sylvia, is a team player. She's gonna take her under her wing, make sure she's good, and teach her the game. So, I feel like if anything, she's probably under one of the best people you could be under to learn from. That's a veteran who's going to pour into you, who's gonna demand the best from you, and also see the best in you and want to get you going and rowdy. I think her being with Sylvia is actually a plus.
Oh, 100%. I loved them together. I think obviously Nafisa did take some time out when she was having a baby, which
Mm,
is understandable, obviously. But I liked the pairing, together, I really did. And when Sylvia retired, I did wonder what what would happen next, and last year maybe wasn't so great, but this year they look amazing, and that player development that you talk about from Cheryl,
yeah,
you see the rookies that they've brought in and the work that they're doing, and they're yeah, I think they're gonna push this year real hard, and they already have, so good by them.
absolutely.
Now, that is us for another week of WNBA action. We will be back next week, and who knows what's going to happen over this weekend and into next week. It's crazy, but probably by the time we talk next week, Scotland soccer team will be back on land here in Scotland. I mean, if they could win a damn game, that'd be awesome. But anyway, from myself and Michelle, have a great week, and we will catch you next week.